Greetings, my movie geeks. I'm Nate, the Ultimate Movie Geek, and I'm joined once again, quite surprisingly, it's not October, by Mrs. Movie Geek. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tonight we're gonna just do a quick review of
Instant Family.
We watched that the other night.
Mm-hmm.
It stars Mark Wahlberg and Byrne, and it's quite a good feel-good film, I think. And shall we say what the story is?
Yeah. Are we doing spoilers?
We'll say what the story is, and then we'll go into spoilers afterwards.
Okay. The story is a couple who I would say aren't particularly young in their coupleship anymore.
No.
And the family around them are all starting to, some of the family have already had babies.
Some are
the
trying.
Sister, can't even think what the characters are called now.
No, I can't.
But the sister of who Rose Byrne plays character, they're trying to do IVF.
Yeah.
They want kids, and they're having the conversation. They have this house where they call them flips in America.
Flipping a house. Or
yeah. So he's like a DIY guy, what we'd call like a builder.
Yeah.
And they go in by this house. He's like, oh yeah, it's perfect. You think he's gonna go mad because it's absolute shed. And he's like, yeah, it's perfect for a flip. And she was like, oh, I was gonna do it for my sister because she wants to have the family and all the rest of it. He's
and
like,
she'd gone ahead and bought it as well.
Yeah, and and like a sister and brother-in-law, like, no, it's an absolute dump. Like, laugh it off. So they start doing this property up, and as they're talking about children IVF, she gets a bit of a look and she looks back at her husband, because the sister goes, well, use that if we're going to have kids, are you now?
And then she had a look.
And she got and then that's kind of goes from there, and I think it's probably one of them where they didn't really discuss it much, and have just carried on, enjoyed living the life you do when you don't have children.
Which is mentioned a couple of times.
Yeah, it's a lot less complicated, and it is a lot less complicated. There's no, depending on what you do for a living, I suppose, but it generally is a lot less complicated because you don't have people to think about other than the pair of you, unless you've got animals.
Well, yeah, you've seen ours.
Yeah, and it kind of goes from there, and she starts looking into fostering. I'm guessing because they are, I think they're meant to only be young 40s, to be fair, but I think in real life...
He's 49, isn't he?
Oh yeah, we looked it up, so we were a bit shocked. We thought he was a bit older. So it's quite honest in that probably does happen to some people. You kind of, they might just run out of time.
Just carry on living.
They're just living their lives. And she starts looking up fostering.
And he's not interested.
Yeah, he's not interested, and she kind of goes to bed, and he starts looking at this laptop and sees all these kids, and he realises actually, what a huge thing it would be, and what a huge difference you could make to a child's life.
Yeah.
And what a difference it can make to your life in fostering. So they then, obviously, carnage ensues, and they start going to like a class. It's like a qualification, isn't it? Like fostering.
Which makes a hell of a lot of sense. Now, I don't know anything about it. You've got a couple of friends who
I've got
a
couple of friends who work in it locally. We, to be honest, don't talk about it much to them, but I know it must be such, massively rewarding, but also probably quite a heartbreaking job as well. And it's kind of a light-hearted take on it, because obviously it's a film for entertainment.
Yeah.
But actually some of it's quite well done in parts, where it is quite raw, and you do get to see how only very minor glimpses of how they live. It affects the children, and like the little thing, like it's made of a bit of a joke in the film, but it's not. I think it's not really meant to be. Like the boy is very nervous, and any time if he does anything remotely wrong, he starts panicking and sort of cowering, and obviously there's quite a tragic probably story behind that.
Because they're going from foster.
Yeah, but they end up fostering 3. They end up going for a teenager, because everyone's like, oh, teenagers are right off. They call them something, don't they? And nobody wants a teenager.
They're starting to age out.
Yeah, they're aging out, and they have their own groups at these. It's almost like a date, like a park.
And that's what got me.
And they go and pick which kids they want to talk to.
And that's what I don't know, and it's played for laughs, and they do comment on it.
Yeah, but they're even laughing about it, going, if you go up to a kid in a park normally, you
get arrested.
Trouble.
But it is, and I don't know if that's how it works in America. Maybe it does. Maybe because
it's the second film we've seen something like this where they do just go and have like open days, and you go and have a look around at the kids. And I honestly don't know, and we're probably a bit ignorant.
Can't really
to
comment
it,
on that. Yeah, I suppose.
Um,
but the way it's done is that they talk to a load of kids, but they don't really.
You don't have a connection, and they're like, "Oh my god, we don't have a connection with these kids," and all this stuff. But then she's like, "Well, you don't always have a connection." So there's funny bits. And he's like, "What do you mean? Like when I met you, I instantly knew," and it was like, I can't remember the word he used now, like not mystical, but something like that connection. She's like,
"Yeah."
No. He's like,
he was like a month. She was like a month, wasn't she?
Yeah. So it's funny because he obviously really fell quite quickly for her, and she was like, "Oh, I definitely knew after about maybe 4 or 6 months." And he's like 4. So, and she went, "Well, I definitely knew when we got married." And he's like, "What?" So it's quite funny how they explore how people have different views on the relationship, I suppose. But I was quite surprised because we kind of stuck it on, and I was a bit like, I'm not expecting.
It was a late night choice, and it was like, I've heard about it. I'd seen like trailers and adverts, and we stuck it on. We didn't expect much from it, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was quite heartfelt. I don't know if the writers have been through that system and done that, but what I found from this film was that it sort of emulated a John Hughes
it was weird because just as you said that, I was thinking there's bits of films like Uncle Buck and those types of classic
She's Having a Baby.
Yeah, those films, there was just something about it which did give me the same vibe, which I thought was weird when you said it, because I was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think the music as well is a little bit of that,
it seems to be along those
80s
lines.
reminiscent music.
And especially at the end, they end with an 80s ballad. It's the one from
Nothing Gonna Stop Us Now, Starship. Yeah, but but as well, and it's a bit like the opening scenes in Love Actually, or is it the closing scenes where it's real life pictures of people meeting in the airport, and in this film, it's real life photos of families,
foster families,
like foster families and families who have adopted. And it always, stuff like that always gets me.
So they've obviously had people who are part of that, maybe on the crew. So and they've used their experiences in it,
but it's not, and it's like, it is like, obviously, I think people maybe work in that area might watch and think, what a load of shite. But obviously we don't have that inner experience of it. But I think watching it, and yes, it is a light-hearted film, and yes, it is a bit of it's not really a rom-com, it is a bit.
No.
Until obviously the kids come along and the impact that has. But it's actually more about like I suppose everything that's important in life, and all your relationship with your other half, and actually your family, and whether it be family that you've had naturally, or you've adopted, or you've fostered.
What defines family?
It's exploring that everybody's got a different type of family, and there's no, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. And there were parts of it that were, like the elder daughter who really struggled because the mum had constantly let them down, and they were at the point where they had the 3 of them, time had passed, and they were looking to adopt them. And then they changed the meeting because the mum had been attending rehab, she'd been keeping appointments, she'd been keeping up regular contact, doing everything that she'd needed to do, and then they kind of said we're treating it as a change of circumstance now, instead of I can't remember what they called it,
2-6 or something like that.
Yeah, whatever it was. So they were obviously heartbroken because they were all sort of ready to take it on, and they'd already dealt with, they'd even gone through times where they'd sat down together going, I hate these kids. They're both like, I hate these kids, and it makes you not like them, because you're like, how can you be like that? But then, if we're all being honest, there's part of it where you probably would go, oh my God, these kids are assholes, they're treating us like dirt, and we're only trying to do everything that's good for them, and they're dead ungrateful. That's
those
kids.
Who have had kids.
That's kids.
Will understand.
They're kids.
Mark Fratelli said it right, didn't she?
Kids suck.
Kids suck.
But they also are great. But we're not being mean. They can actually.
They do suck.
They do suck. I found it sometimes, and it must be very hard. I think it takes a massive personality, and I can't even describe the word to somebody who, who hasn't grown up with that child and not formed very early bonds and been there for years, but actually put themselves out on the line. And the kids try to do the same, and it was really interesting because the kids, like especially the older girl, really held back.
Yeah.
And
she didn't want to.
She didn't want to get that close because she knew it might all go wrong, and she was desperately clinging to the fact that her mum would come back and swoop them up, and it would be a happy ending.
There was those moments when when she did crack slightly, and then I think she sort of hated herself.
She hated herself for
so
it,
then she would sort of punish the
mean,
foster mum because of it. But yeah, it's an entertaining film that does have those moments, and it doesn't sort of whitewash it and say that it's always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
There's a great scene when they're in the group session and they say, "Oh, I think we looked out with the kids because we haven't had any problems," and everyone around the table start laughing at them, saying, "Oh, this is your first time then. You're in the honeymoon period.
They're being good for you," and they're like, "Oh no, we think it. We think this is just what we're like."
Yeah.
And then they come back and they're like, "Oh my God, we can't cope with these kids."
It's not as bad as the Psycho kid though. Friends just slip.
Oh yeah, there's like obviously funny bits to it that was obviously made up where he's only meant to be 5 or so, and this couple of like, "Oh, he's a perfect little boy," and there's like, "Yeah, he told us that he was going to cut our throats as we slept," and
he didn't do it, though.
He didn't, so that's positive.
Progress.
Like, oh my God. So yeah, I mean, it's not a serious film by any stretch. No. I just think it's trying to give a little bit of insight and an entertainment around it.
Yeah.
But I do think it was quite well done.
I do, and I'm not a big fan of Marky Mark at all.
He's not.
He's
got a huge range, I see.
No, and he's Sully in the Uncharted movie. It doesn't really make sense. But there's sometimes in some of his films he's all right, and in this film he was all right.
Yeah.
I don't mind Rose Byrne. She's in a lot of films that we've watched.
Bridesmaids.
Yeah. But yeah, the acting comes across. The elder child as well. I think she played Dora in the Dora movie. She's good in this as well.
That is.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't remember what her name is. That's how.
No.
But all the kids are really good in this. They work really well. They all have different aspects. Like there's a young girl who has a temper tantrum, and
she just screams.
Again,
she refuses to eat anything but potato chip. I mean, we've all been there.
if you've kids suck. Yeah. But that's it.
They don't.
They
do sometimes.
I wouldn't have 3 if I really thought they sucked. But yeah.
It's funny as well because the family were dead against it, and then they changed their mind and they came out. I think it was Thanksgiving. They were like, "Right, we were going to foster." We changed our mind for these reasons, and all the family sort of sighed of relief, and they're like, "Yeah, well, nobody wanted to say anything, but none of us thought you'd really be able to do it, and that it was a really bad idea." So she absolutely.
And she's like, "We're going to do it anyway."
Yeah, but I'm like that, and I can relate to that. If the minute somebody says to me, "No, you can't do that," well, I will do it, even if I don't want to do it, because I'm going to show you that I can do it.
I haven't said anything.
I know, but it was funny in the film because then like within about a minute and a half, they go from not doing it to doing it. They've decided this, and then they're actually going to do it. So there is. It's quite a fun film.
It's a good film.
It's easy watching.
Was it on Netflix or was it on Sky? I think it was on Netflix.
Oh, do you know? I don't know.
Can't remember.
Yeah, one of them.
It's on one of them. So what would you give it? Right. So the new rating system of the channel is 1 to 5.
Right.
Oh my God, I can't remember my own rating system. So 5 out of 5 is like
the
best movie, 4 good, 3 just the movie, 2 not good.
Well, these are high because and
then
the
1
between
bad movie.
I'm going to give it a solid 3.5.
3.5. 3.5. There's no halves.
Oh. Well, I'll give it a 4 because I did enjoy it.
That's what I was going to get. I was going to give it 4. It's a good movie.
Because the 3 is a bit average and you're just watchable. And whilst it was, there was quite a lot of redeeming points in it where it did make you say, "Oh."
We watched it, and I felt it was just going to be just a movie, but it wasn't. It had those moments that propelled it further. Yeah. Like the scene where they're on the bed and they are trashing, like talking how bad the kids are, and they're like, we'll give them up, and then we'll save face. Sorry for us. Yeah, they'll feel sorry for us, and we'll say that their real family came back and took them away, and we're really sad, and we might even get presents, and it's stuff like that, and it's like, you can relate.
I can't relate to that.
No, I know, but I can relate to what they're saying, and that's how frustrated they are at that point. So music is good, like we said, and I do feel like it's a John Hughes film without John Hughes. Yeah, it was surprising for me. Anyway, I didn't expect much, so I would recommend it. Watch it now. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified every Wednesday when our videos are released. You'll be back.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. You'll be back sometime every so often, won't you, with a review? Intermittently. I don't know what it's going to be next. We've got an In Defense Of in the wings, and there'll be another review next week. So thank you for watching. I'm the Ultimate Movie Geek. Follow me at Twitter at Movie Ultimate, Instagram Ultimate Movie Geek. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
What are you doing to my phone?
Look at what this boy texted her.
Is this that kid, Jacob? Hey!
I saw the picture you sent her, Jacob.
You're lucky I don't end your life right now, Carrot Top.
We're gonna call your mom.
You're going down today.
So what do you think of that, Jacob?
My name's not Jacob.
What? Okay.